It would be a hard one enough to call. I thought Antrim, you know, when you take into consideration the circumstances that surrounded Dermot and his colleagues, I thought Antrim would win yesterday. You know, it goes back up to Cahill Park next week. I would say a 50-50 call on that. I think Kildare will improve, obviously. Antrim being at home is a great advantage in the qualifiers. Slight advantage with Antrim.
And Offaly got out of jail maybe against Clare, Dara. Can they build on that, do you think?
Yeah, Tom Cribbin talking about bringing it to the next level. On the evidence in the two games they've played so far, I would have my doubts. I don't doubt that it's a source of great encouragement that they win their first championship game in 3 years, but they haven't always embraced the qualifiers with the way they should, and I think it's just a stay of execution, to be honest, for Offaly.
All right, OK. Sorry it's not more optimistic for you. Now to our next 4 games, and we start here with Longford against Mayo last night.
Longford went into this game with just 2 competitive victories against London and Kilkenny behind them this year, but were boosted by the return of Bernard McElvaney and star forward Brian Kavanagh, as well as a large home support. Mayo's dismal showings against Cork and Sligo in recent weeks led to a raft of changes, but it was the Connacht side who raced into an early lead, kicking some fine scores, including this effort from Seamus O'Shea. Mayo's advantage could have been even more at the end of the first quarter, only Alan Freeman over-elaborated here. Thankfully for the Westerners, Conor Mortimer was there to make up the difference. Longford were slow to get going, but eventually found their rhythm, and their big 3, McElvaney and Kavanagh, combined to set up this fine score from team captain Paul Barden. The home side upped their performance in the second half and kicked some fine scores through Mulligan, McGee and Dowd. And then came the game's crucial score. Paddy Dowd, who was lively throughout, caused the Mayo defence all sorts of problems. His ball inside set up the substitute Paul Kelly for this fine goal. Suddenly Longford were in front and they started to believe. Mayo's cause was not helped by this red card, needlessly so, for abusive language from Keith Higgins. The game was to to and fro, and as we edged towards full time, this fine point, the 4th of the evening for Mayo's Alan Freeman, looked to be heading the game towards extra time. But it wasn't to be. Longford were to have one last chance in this game, and corner forward Sean McCormack, who had been quiet throughout, kicked this, which turned out to be the winning score on a historic night at Pearse Park. It finished full time, Longford 112. Mayo 14 points, and Mayo are out.
We probably had an advantage in some ways that we were out that little bit earlier in the championship. Many people say that a break can work against you, but we were able to just, I suppose, have a little bit of downtime, give the lads a week or 2 off. They went back and played their clubs, and you know, they came back in a fantastic frame of mind, and really with an attitude that you'd be proud of. And you know, they wanted to try and give this thing a rattle, and they showed tonight how hungry they were for it.
I've just told the players in the dressing room and informed the county board that I'll be stepping down from here on in, but I have no doubt, and I've said this consistently over the 4 years, that these lads will get their day in the sun. As I said, they will get to that far side of that bridge. There's a lot of talent there, and I'll be cheering them on as a supporter rather than as their manager.
Mick O'Dwyer's Wicklow beat Cavan in Aughrim on their long run through the qualifiers last year. Could they repeat the feat in Cavan this year? They got off to a flyer. JP Dalton was pulled down by Thomas Corr, and referee Cormac Riley pointed to the spot. No problem for Leighton Glynn. Wicklow 4 points up after 10 minutes. Cavan struggled throughout the first half and went even further behind when a James Stafford ball found Sean Furlong. Another goal for Wicklow. 7 points clear now. Cavan were down to 14 men before half-time. A second yellow for Thomas Corr for this strike on Furlong. The game running away from Cavan now. 2-5 to 6 points at the break, and their frustration was showing. The second half was barely underway and Cavan were down to 13 men. A sideline tussle between Glynn and Cavan midfielder James Stafford kept going after the ball went out of play. Mulvey struck out in full view of the linesman and he was off. And then off the bench came Shawnee Johnson, still carrying an injury, but with his first touch put the ball over the bar and gave Cavan new hope. Midway through the second half and Cavan were right back in it. Shawnee got his fourth from what looked an impossible angle and the margin was down to 2. Less than 10 minutes to go and substitute Mark McKeever got the equaliser. A frantic exchange of points before, guess who, Shawnee Johnson got his 6th and the winner for Cavan. An incredible turnaround for Tommy Carr's men and the end of the road for Mickle's Wicklow.
We just stopped playing in the second half, that's all that happened. It was amazing when we had the 2 extra men. It looked like as if it was Cavan that had the 2 extra men. And the arrival of Shawnee Johnson, I think, made all the difference. He kicked some wonderful points. He's a marvellous footballer and he proved it today. You said earlier on in the season that this was going to be your last year no matter what happened. Do you know what you're going to do now? Well, I mean, I've given 3.5 years to Wicklow now, and we've done a lot of work, over the last 3.5 years. So, I mean, my so-called contract with them would be up this year anyway. I did it for the 3.5 years. I told them that. So, that's where it is at the moment.
An historic first ever meeting in the All-Ireland Football Championships between Tipperary and Laois ended in a dramatic injury time win for the home side over the unlucky visitors at Sunny Semple Stadium. Laois, playing for the 3rd weekend in a row, after losing a replay to Meath and Leinster, started brightly, and the experienced Ross Munley kicked them ahead after just 17 seconds. This made it 4 goals and 73 points in 37 championship matches for the corner forward. But Tipperary, who lost to All-Ireland champions Kerry on May the 16th, responded well, and with wind advantage and the free taking of full forward Barry Grogan, who put over 4 first half points, they just kept their noses in front, until Stephen Hahessy kicked them 2 points ahead, approaching half-time. But Sean Dempsey's side showed plenty of spirit, and thanks to this fine point from attacking half-back John O'Loughlin and an equalising score from half-forward Billy Sheehan, the sides went in level at 7 points each at the half-time break. John Evans' Tipperary side now faced the wind, but good support play saw them go close to a goal through Stephen Hahessy, before Peter Aikenson punched his side in front with his 2nd point of the match. The 2 well-matched teams were level again after the Parnell's clubman Michael John Tierney put over this fine effort. Grogan, who scored 7 points on the day, added this fine point from play. Half-time substitute Brian Mulvihill was making an impact with his first score with just 4 minutes left, as Tipperary nudged 2 points in front. Laois, however, refused to lie down, and 2 points in the 67th and 69th minutes from defenders Pádraig McMahon and an equaliser from the informal O'Loughlin showed their forwards how it should be done. Extra time was now on the cards, but then, in the 2nd minute of added time, super sub Mulvihill sent Tipperary into round 2 of the qualifiers with this winning score. The losing Laois boss, Sean Dempsey, has vowed to stay on despite this full-time score. Tipperary 13 points, Laois 12 points.
Look, we've had 2 tough teams, 2 tough draws this year with Kerry and Laois, and to be coming out to winning this one is, after the effort that the lads have put in, is tremendous, and I'm really, really delighted.
London actually had the audacity to score first against Wexford in Ruislip as Scott Conroy put over the opening point of the afternoon. But Wexford ran riot after that early setback and quickly took the lead, helped by their first goal of the day from PJ Banville. Wexford continued to score at will in the opening 35 and got a second goal as Andreas Doyle put the ball to the back of the London net. London only scored a handful of points in the whole of the first half. Brian Smith with their 4th to make it 2-12 to 4 points in favour of Wexford at the break. Wexford continued with their target practice in the second half, and Banville teased the London keeper Evan Byrne before scoring his side's 3rd goal. Shane Roach was then left all alone deep in the London half as he picked off Wexford's 4th goal of the afternoon. London lived off scraps, such was Wexford dominance, and Sean McVeigh raided forward from full-back to get a consolation score late on, but an embarrassingly easy win for Wexford in Ruislip, 4-22 to London's 9 points.
we came over very apprehensive and nervous about how we were going to play after the Dublin match and what kind of a performance London were going to put in. So we're delighted just coming away with a win, and delighted to be looking to the draw tomorrow morning, knowing that Wexford is going to be in the draw.
All right, Dara, special mention for Longford. That was some win over Mayo.
Yeah, and it's going to be overshadowed, I suppose, by talk of John O'Mahony's retirement. But Longford have proven to be very